She's completely flirtatious with him.
I'm just shocked at how many lies were told, okay?
So yes, it's finally official that Blake Lively has cheated on Ryan Reynolds with Justin Baldoni, and now every piece of the puzzle is falling into place.
Blake Lively completely exposes herself.
She's the worst kind of fake feminist, hiding behind empowerment while using lies and manipulation to get what she wants.
She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
She really wanted her vision to be included in this, okay?
When Justin Baldoni rejected her, she showed her true colors and tried to destroy him.
And no amount of I'm sorry's will ever undo it. Hurt people hurt people.
Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden girl, the one who plays the classy, charming, picture-perfect wife, turns out she was out here playing a whole different role behind closed doors. Turns out, while she was busy filing a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, crying about how he made her uncomfortable on set, she was actually the one running after him like a desperate fangirl.
She laughs and says, oh, did you get beard on me? She doesn't say, oh my God, you nuzzled me and said that I smell good. This is what she's done throughout.
This woman really thought she could have any man she wanted. And when Baldoni, a married man, said, nah, I'm good, she straight up lost her mind. Instead of taking her L in peace, she did what every entitled Hollywood starlet does, turned herself into the victim.
She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
And now, the receipts are dropping left and right. And Ryan Reynolds? Oh, he is not happy. Because this isn't just about some stupid on-set chemistry. This is about his wife trying to cheat on him, failing miserably, and then using the Me Too movement as a revenge tactic. You can't make this up.
She wants us to believe this is actionable harassment, what we just witnessed there. You tell me whether that's what that looks like to you.
So let's talk about Blake and this weird little habit of hers, falling in love with every co-star she's ever had. This woman has turned Hollywood sets into her personal Tinder account. She was all up on Penn Badgley during Gossip Girl, then switched lanes and started cozying up to Ben Affleck while filming The Town. And we all know what happened with Ryan Reynolds. Dude was literally married to Scarlett Johansson when he met Blake. But that didn't stop her from sliding in.
This person is not an honest broker. I believe her less than ever. I actually disbelieve her fully now.
This is the same woman who has the nerve to cry about being mistreated in the industry. Meanwhile, she's been jumping from one power player to another like she's in a game of Hollywood musical chairs. But here's where things took a turn. This time, she set her sights on Justin Baldoni. Because why not? He's a handsome guy, he's got power in Hollywood, and, most importantly, he's happily married. And we all know how Blake operates.
I let go of so much, and I gave it to him.
She's got this whole pretty privilege thing going on in her head. Like she can just bat her eyelashes, flash a smile, and boom, men will fall at her feet. Except Baldoni, he wasn't playing that game.
When Ms. Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, I'm not even attracted to you.
He shut that down real quick. And Blake? Oh, she did not like that. She tried to push for more intimate scenes, wanted things to be steamier, and even made weird little flirty comments on his workout videos online.
She's completely flirtatious with him.
This woman really told him, amazing, now try it pregnant. Excuse me? What does that even mean? She was trying so hard to get this man's attention, and he wasn't having it.
I don't like her. She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
She even refused to work with an intimacy coordinator, which is hilarious because later she claimed she felt unsafe on set. Yeah, sure, Blake, you weren't unsafe when you were out here writing your own steamy scenes and pushing for extra takes, but now suddenly you're a helpless victim?
And that's another allegation, Holmes, is that she started to rewrite scenes that nobody had asked her to rewrite.
And then, when Justin still wasn't giving her the attention she wanted, Blake's ego took a hit so massive she had to turn it into a whole scandal. This is Hollywood narcissism at its peak. She literally weaponized the Me Too movement against a guy who just didn't want to cheat on his wife. Like, Imagine being so entitled that instead of just taking the rejection like a normal person, you decide, you know what, let me just destroy his whole career instead.
Wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover or time to heal.
And of course, she needed a cover story. So she spun this ridiculous tale about how Justin was being inappropriate, adding extra steamy scenes, and making comments about her body. Meanwhile, leaked show that she was the one talking about body image issues and pushing for certain looks in the film.
A man being fully castrated by a woman who is using toxic feminism to get what she wants, right?
And don't even get me started on the whole "he called me fat" nonsense. The receipts show that Baldoni was actually trying to be supportive, telling her not to stress and that she looked great. But of course, Blake had to twist that into some weird victim narrative.
Where Blake Lively completely exposes herself and just says it out loud with no qualms. This is what I do. The whole thing Justin's put out in his documents, she just admitted.
What makes this even funnier is that Ryan Reynolds was out here backing her up, thinking he was defending his wife's honor, when in reality, she was the one running around trying to make something happen with another man. He was so busy trying to destroy Justin Baldoni's reputation that he didn't even realize his wife was the actual problem.
She, like, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context is an absolute nothing burger. She accused his producing partner of showing her pornography.
And let's be real, Ryan probably started getting suspicious when Blake suddenly wanted to rewrite entire scenes in the movie. Yeah, because that's totally normal. Imagine being Ryan Reynolds thinking your wife is just really passionate about her craft, only to find out she was out here trying to craft a whole new relationship with her co-star.
I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have because the truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
And then, when everything started falling apart and people started questioning Blake's claims, she pulled the most desperate move yet, a fake voicemail. A voicemail where Justin is supposedly apologizing for making her uncomfortable. Oh, how convenient. But here's the problem. People who actually know how tech works started looking at the metadata and realizing something wasn't adding up.
And here is part of that leaked audio as of yesterday. Take a listen to Justin Baldoni groveling, is the only way to describe it, to Blake Lively.
I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank.
The whole thing sounds like it was chopped up and edited to make Baldoni look guilty. And given everything else we now know, it's not exactly a stretch to think Blake could have had someone manufacture a deepfake voicemail to save her story. Because let's face it, at this point, her credibility is in the trash.
I'm really sorry. I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect.
The level of manipulation here is honestly insane. Blake really thought she could play the innocent, fragile victim while setting a whole man up just because he didn't want her. And let's talk about what that says about her character. She really thought that since she's Blake Lively, a man saying no to her was impossible.
So she could start to rehabilitate her reputation, which got smeared because she turned out to be not a very nice person in the videos released last summer.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, a leaked voicemail surfaced, allegedly featuring Baldoni apologizing to Blake for mistreating her. Super convenient, right? Almost too convenient. Because let's think about it. Why would Baldoni, a man who had already proven that Blake was lying, suddenly drop a random confession? It didn't make any sense. And thankfully, the tech experts got involved.
I'm just still kind of blown away that this is the industry that we're in and that you've experienced that as a woman. And
metadata analysis quickly revealed that the voicemail was highly suspicious. It didn't sound natural. It sounded like it had been stitched together from separate conversations. The pacing was weird, the tone was inconsistent, and certain parts sounded eerily robotic. experts started questioning whether AI deepfake technology had been used to fabricate the voicemail, essentially making it sound like Baldoni said something he never actually said.
Those heads that, I'm just still kind of blown away that this is the industry that we're in and that you've experienced that as a woman. And I know I don't need to say it, but that's not at all going to be or will be, and hopefully it's not been the experience with me.
She thinks she's some kind of untouchable Hollywood princess who gets whatever she wants, whenever she wants. And when reality hit her in the face and Baldoni wasn't interested, she reacted like a spoiled kid throwing a tantrum. Except instead of crying in a corner, she tried to ruin someone's life. And now, Ryan Reynolds is left looking like a complete fool for standing by her through this.
Blake knows that, Ryan knows that, and now Justin Baldoni is just basically saying, I fold.
And the funniest part? Blake thought this whole thing would end with her being seen as the strong, empowered woman standing up to a Hollywood predator. Instead, she's being exposed for the manipulative, entitled liar she actually is. Her whole plan backfired, and now Ryan is realizing that the real villain in this whole situation was in his own house the entire time. Hollywood's golden girl has officially lost her shine, and she has no one to blame but herself.
Blake Lively says Ryan Reynolds wrote the scene, okay? So he gave her what she wanted, included her scene, shot the scene.
Blake Lively really thought she could finesse her way out of this mess, but instead, she dug herself into the biggest hole Hollywood has ever seen. After Baldoni rejected her, she didn't just move on like a normal person. Nope, she went full supervillain mode. She knew she couldn't just cry about being rejected like a regular person, so she did what every entitled, power-hungry Hollywood actress does. She turned herself into the victim. She filed an official sexual harassment complaint against Baldoni, claiming he made inappropriate advances toward her.
This is all retaliatory. All of his leaks to the media are retaliatory and asking the court to shut him and Brian Friedman up, saying this must be shut down because they're trying to try this case in the media.
Now, let's pause for a second and just appreciate the sheer audacity here. This woman, who was literally throwing herself at Baldoni, pushing for more intimate scenes, making flirty comments on his workout videos, and rejecting an intimacy coordinator because she knew what she was doing, suddenly decided she was being harassed. Sure, Blake, whatever helps you sleep at night.
He's worked really hard to get to this point where he just listens to women. He has not yet perceived that a woman might do something evil. He has not yet learned the lesson that nice guys can sometimes finish last, right? And when I say finish last, I mean suddenly have an entire movie yanked out of their hands.
But here's where things get really interesting. Baldoni wasn't about to let this nonsense slide. Instead of rolling over and letting her destroy his career, he hit back with receipts, behind-the-scenes footage that completely contradicted her claims. And when I say completely contradicted, I mean obliterated. Because the very things she accused him of, yeah, turns out she was the one doing them. Let's break it down.
I mean, that's not authorship. That's not autonomy. That's control. That's selfishness. That's entitlement. This woman is a monster.
She claimed Baldoni smelled her neck and made creepy comments about how good she smelled. Except, whoops, there's footage of her complaining about how bad her spray tan smelled, and Baldoni literally reassuring her that it wasn't a big deal. She accused Baldoni of calling her hot and extending kissing scenes unnecessarily. But the footage shows her being the one initiating everything.
Sorry, you admit to lying, which is clearly what as you watch the text, she's always asking permission. She's guilt-tripping Justin. Oh, directors don't let me, and blah, 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 blah. And then he's always like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And this wasn't just some wild conspiracy theory. Hollywood legal experts started getting involved, questioning whether Blake had actually tampered with evidence in an ongoing legal battle. If proven, this would mean serious legal repercussions, potentially leading to charges of fraud and defamation. Blake wasn't just trying to clear her name at this point. She was desperately trying to cover up her lies before the whole thing completely collapsed. But instead of saving herself, she just made things so much worse.
She realized they had a hit on their hands. That's why she took control. That's why A-list producers brought in. That's when suddenly, oh crap, this movie's not just we need more time. This movie could actually be something.
And guess who finally started waking up? Ryan Reynolds. For months, Ryan had been Blake's biggest supporter, blindly believing everything she told him. But once the leaked messages, metadata analysis, and behind-the-scenes footage started surfacing, things weren't adding up anymore. He started questioning her, digging deeper, realizing that maybe, just maybe, his wife wasn't the innocent victim she was pretending to be.
Everybody in the crew and so for her to steamroll this movie like she did is shocking. It's disgusting.
And then he found something that changed everything. Leaked messages surfaced showing that Blake had been calling Ryan an obstacle. Yes, her own husband. She had been talking to Baldoni about working around Ryan, trying to hide things from him. Imagine being Ryan, thinking you're the one standing by your wife, only to find out she's been secretly plotting behind your back. That was his wake-up call. Then came the final straw. Witnesses revealed that Ryan had an explosive reaction when he found out Blake had invited Baldoni to their penthouse, the infamous Taylor Swift ambush. This was back when Blake was still trying to convince Baldoni to include her ridiculous rewritten rooftop scene.
But Blake Lively, it appears to me, completely lied about that critical scene in which she involved Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds, her dragon, she's Khaleesi, because she really wanted her vision to be included in this, okay?
And what did she do? She set up a trap. She invited Baldoni over, but instead of just talking about the scene, she had Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift waiting there to pressure him into accepting her version of the script. Imagine being Ryan, looking back at this moment, realizing that his wife had manipulated the entire situation, made him part of her power play, and turned him into a weapon against Baldoni.
What a manipulative, lying little twerp she is. I cannot stand her for this.
At this point, Ryan wasn't just angry at Baldoni anymore. He was furious at Blake. He realized he had been used, lied to, dragged into a war that he never should have been part of. He wasn't just fighting for Blake. He was being used by Blake to fight her personal battle against a man who simply didn't want her. And now, Ryan has to face the harsh reality. His wife isn't the victim. She's the mastermind behind one of the biggest Hollywood scandals of the decade.
Ryan is the hand behind everything that is happening here, Justin Baldoni. He is playing a fake alpha, when in fact he is a true beta.
Blake thought she could control the narrative. She thought she could rewrite reality the way she rewrites her movie scripts. But guess what? The truth is out, the lies are crumbling, and Hollywood is finally seeing Blake Lively for who she really is. Not a victim, not a hero, but a manipulative, entitled narcissist who thought she was too pretty to face consequences.
Her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors.
And Ryan? He's left standing in the wreckage, realizing that the real betrayal didn't come from Justin Baldoni, it came from the woman he married. Blake Lively spent years crafting this perfect little princess image, Hollywood's golden girl, the charming, effortlessly elegant, America's sweetheart, who could do no wrong. But let's be real, that image was built on pure manipulation. She thought she could control the industry, the media, and even her own husband, twisting reality to fit her own delusions. But guess what? Hollywood finally woke up, and now everyone is turning against her.
Two lovers, two people in a relationship are dancing with one another. She's giggling, she's holding his hands. They are not speaking as their characters because the sound was not going to be used in the film.
Justin Baldoni's lawsuit didn't just expose Blake as a liar, it shattered her entire reputation. Hollywood's biggest players took one look at the evidence and immediately started distancing themselves. No one wants to be associated with a woman who faked harassment claims just because a man rejected her advances. And it's not just her. Ryan Reynolds got sucked into her mess, and now his career is collapsing right along with hers.
The audacity of that lie, that tells us who she is as a human being, to be that manipulative and that emotional about the hurt and the pain because people didn't take her seriously, only to discover that she didn't do the work.
And let's talk about the biggest bombshell that completely destroyed her credibility, the New York Times scandal. When Baldoni and his team started digging through the metadata on the infamous NYT hit piece that painted him as some evil predator, they found something insane. The article was already being prepared days before Blake even filed her complaint. Let that sink in. The New York Times wasn't reporting on the allegations, they were part of the plan.
Now she wants a complete gag order. Now he needs to be shut down to protect her. This is very unfair to poor Blake.
This wasn't journalism. This was a full-on coordinated attack. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were feeding the media a story before there even was a story. The whole thing was a setup, a pre-planned character assassination. And now, the NYT has been caught red-handed, with their own digital footprint proving that they were working on this hit piece before the accusations even went public. And speaking of sabotage, let's talk about Ryan Reynolds' agency, WME, the same powerhouse that represents some of the biggest stars in the industry. The moment Blake went public with her accusations, WME dropped Justin Baldoni like a bad habit. No investigation, no due process, just instant cancellation. And at first, it looked like Blake and Ryan had pulled off the ultimate power move.
Ryan did the work. Ryan wrote the entire thing, okay? And they allowed that. They allowed Justin to feel that. Makes me angry.
But then, things started unraveling. Hollywood insiders started whispering. Was it really WME's decision to drop Baldoni? Or did Ryan himself pressure them into it before he realized he was being played? At the time, Ryan was still blindly supporting Blake, so it's entirely possible that he called in favors, pulled some strings, and used his influence to blacklist Baldoni, all to defend a woman who was straight up lying to his face.
I'm very surprised that she felt comfortable enough to say all of this out loud. And I don't feel like it's taking things out of context. I don't feel like it's manipulating her to look a certain way. This is her talking.
And now, Ryan looks like a fool. Because as more evidence comes out, Hollywood executives are finally seeing Blake for who she really is. The America's Sweetheart Act isn't working anymore. Studios are now questioning whether hiring her is even worth the risk. She's not a box office draw anymore. She's a liability. And if there's one thing Hollywood hates, it's a financial liability. But let's talk real consequences. Because Blake isn't just losing favor in Hollywood, she's about to face serious legal repercussions. Justin Baldoni is fighting back in the biggest way possible. He's not just suing for defamation, he's going after Blake for fraud, falsified evidence, and character assassination.
A lot of emotional stress. It's very hard on me and my family.
And here's where things get ugly for Ryan Reynolds, because now that his involvement is being questioned, he might be legally accountable too. If Ryan helped push the false allegations, whether by pressuring agencies to blacklist Baldoni, coordinating with the NYT, or using his own platform to smear him, he could be facing legal consequences right alongside his wife. And let's talk money. Blake and Ryan's brand deals are in serious jeopardy. For years, this couple has cashed in on their perfect power couple image. Millions of dollars in sponsorships, endorsement deals, business ventures, all built on the idea that they're Hollywood's most likable pair. But now, that entire empire is crumbling.
But now that she's done all this, and now that the texts have come out, I really don't like this woman. I am so angered by her ability to think she can just take control and she knows better.
Sponsors don't want to be associated with a scandal like this. Companies don't want their brand tied to a woman who faked harassment claims to get revenge on a man who rejected her. And if Ryan was involved in weaponizing his influence against Baldoni, he's just as toxic. The irony? Baldoni's career, which Blake tried to destroy, is now stronger than ever. Hollywood rallied behind him. Producers, directors, executives, they're seeing him as the real victim. He stood his ground, fought back with evidence, and refused to be silenced. And now, he's getting more opportunities than ever, while Blake is watching her career go up in flames. And while the trial is set for 2020s, many people don't even think it'll make it that far. Blake is too desperate to let this go to trial, because if it does, every last piece of evidence will be exposed in court. So what's the most likely outcome? She'll settle. She'll pay up quietly, hoping that if she throws enough money at the problem, people will forget. But guess what? No one is forgetting this. Because this isn't just about one false accusation. This is about the lengths Blake Lively went to manipulate everyone around her. She tried to cheat on her husband, and when that failed, she tried to destroy the man who rejected her. She lied to Ryan, used Taylor Swift as a pawn, weaponized the media, faked evidence, and sabotaged Baldoni's career, all because she couldn't handle rejection. And now, she's facing the consequences. Ryan finally sees her for who she really is. Hollywood is done playing along, and Blake Lively, she played the game and lost. If you want more brutal takedowns and the real truth Hollywood won't tell you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started.